And I see your Jets. They deserve it. I wasn't going to put my Cowboys. They didn't deserve it. I'm going with my Sooners. They got to pay.
That's all
They got
right.
the Vols and
That's all
Dallas.
right.
I don't know where they were.
We'll,
They
we'll,
were not
we'll
at
see.
that game.
If the Cowboys can beat the Ravens, you got to put your Cowboy back up.
Yeah, they probably would earn that. Probably so.
If they did, yes.
It's going to be a hard game. The Ravens must win. 0-2.
Must win for both. We'll see what happens.
That's crazy.
I know.
The Raiders.
The Raiders. All right, sir. Just me and you one more time. We are going to talk a little NFL football. So, starting with, what's the biggest surprise of the last weekend, my friend?
Well,
you can say Cowboys.
No, I think the Ravens losing to the Raiders was. I wasn't shocked Dallas lost. I was shocked that they weren't in the games after the first quarter. I was disgusted and like, good Lord. But I think the Ravens losing to the Raiders at home was a bigger shock.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, the Cowboys, I don't really think they're that great anyway. The Ravens, though, that was a big loss. And now they play each other. And that's almost a must win for one of those two, because you start out 1-2, 0-3, your chances to make the playoffs are really slim.
If it's a must win for the Cowboys, we were talking a little earlier. What do you think that means for the coach? Is that hot seat getting hotter?
Oh, it's getting hotter. I mean, I think I'd say by game 10, if it's just doom and they're 5-5 or something, I could see them just seeing the end and have Zimmer finish it. And then I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know what his next, because he's tried every kind of situation and they all just end up the same.
Yeah, I hear you. The facts of the matter is, their defense does not look. They're giving up 44 points last week. Their defense does not look like
horrible.
it's really strong at all.
Well, they didn't have the advantage of a quarterback who throws it 10 feet over the guy's head half the time. I mean, they didn't even have to play defense versus the Browns, because half the time the whole team was looking and went into the stands. They actually played a good comparable quarterback who shredded them, and then the running game, I mean, it would go 8 yards before Dallas would even touch the guy half the time.
True.
I mean, it was, I think now what is more surprising, these teams that are 0-2, you have the Bengals that are 0-2, you have the Ravens that are 0-2. There's another 0-2.
You've got the Titans,
Tennessee Titans 0-2, and the Colts. Who is the most surprising? I
would agree with you. In the AFC, I think they are the most surprising team to be like that. In the NFC, you got the Giants. We all expected that. The Rams, we kind of expected that. And the Panthers, we definitely expected that.
Yeah.
So, So as far as that goes, to see that the 0-2 teams are pretty much where we thought they would be. But to see that there are really not a lot of the 0-2 teams, the 2-0 teams, some of them we would never have figured.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think I would have figured the Seahawks and the Vikings to be 2-0 at this point.
No, there's
nor would I have figured the Saints to be 2-0.
Or this there's one, where was it? Yeah, Chargers and Steelers 2-0. They're playing each other this week. They're 2-0.
Yeah, they're playing each other this week. The battle.
I don't think undefeated.
I would have guessed that the Titans would be 2-0. I think they've got a pretty good team, pretty good shot. CJ Stroud looks like the real deal down there, and they've got some receivers. So I'm real happy for the Titans. I think they're going to be fine.
And the Jags are 0-2. The Jags are 0-2.
Yeah, the Jags are 0-2. Yeah,
and they're
giving up too many points. Their defense.
And they go to Buffalo for 2 of the Monday night games. Now we've done the 2 Monday night thing the first weekend, but not the third. I don't.
No, you don't expect that. Yeah,
kind of what?
Looking at the schedule, I think they've got a couple of them coming up too later on in the year here.
Maybe they did. They did that a little last year. Maybe they did.
I don't know why.
Yeah, there's 2 the next week. 2 the next week.
Why. Yeah.
And then
I
they
don't
go
know
back to
why. You
one.
want Monday nights to be special, don't you? I think it's a
I
marketing
don't.
thing. You want Monday
Yeah, I
nights
don't
to be
really.
special.
Yeah, I think it's kind of odd, but
Yeah.
it's Disney, it's ESPN and ABC, so it's the same company. They own both, so
Yeah, that is
they
true.
don't
That
care.
is
They don't
true.
care.
So any other games surprise you last week?
Uh, well, we talked about the Raiders, very surprising. Uh, well, I didn't think the Browns would go to the Jaguars. I mean, I didn't know Watson could complete a pass, but
Well, you
I
know from
guess
the
it.
pool, my wife is the only one that picked the Browns last week, and
God,
she won.
what
She
did he
won.
do? I mean,
I
he
don't
was.
know.
I mean, Lawrence, 14 of 30 for 220. Well, that's horrible.
Yeah.
And then Watson was 22 of 34 for 180. That's horrible. Boy, they both are really earning their 50 million bucks, aren't they?
I like Lawrence. I'm hoping for better for him. I
I
really do think he's
I
a
I,
he has some potential there.
I think I don't know. He was so hyped up out of high school. I mean, he was one of the most hyped quarterbacks in a long time straight out of high school. I'm not saying he didn't live up to it. He was a good college quarterback for three, but he wasn't. I didn't. He wasn't just amazing. Like I wasn't like golly. Like Caleb Williams, you watch plays, you're like, God, that's an amazing play. You didn't see that from Lawrence. Now maybe he didn't have to. He had a really good defense and a good run game. I just, for some reason, I just have not ever wowed by him. For all
Yeah.
the hype, I think he's good, but he never was ever in the Heisman hunt. You'd have thought he would have been. He was one of the highest recruited quarterbacks in years, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I agree.
I've just never been wowed by him ever. He did have a few that 2 years ago, that sort of the end when they had that big win against Dallas, and then the playoff win was a really they had that was kind of. But since then, I mean, he just was okay last year, and he's been terrible so far. I don't know. But he did drive through my brother-in-law and sister's coffee place right before the season.
Oh,
So
did he?
yeah, they own a Scooters Coffee in Jacksonville, and he drove through and had a picture of him getting a coffee.
Oh, cool,
I
cool.
mean, in
I thought he was
Jacksonville, there's not very many. He's probably one of the most famous people in Jacksonville. There's not a lot of famous people. Let's be honest.
probably so. I really enjoyed, like I said, I really enjoy the kid. I think he's got some potential, but
I like him
it's
a
a
lot. I just
little rough,
I've
little
just
rough.
not seen the hype superstar to me. I mean, good,
Yeah,
but nothing. But
I hear
maybe
you.
he will.
Another team that surprised me was the Lions. The Lions got beat by the Bucks,
Yeah, that
and they
was
were at home.
Yeah, and Baker is. I always like to see Baker do well. He's really the Browns fans, they just disgust every time he goes plays and wins, and they see Watson throw the ball in the stands.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
Because there's a
I
lot of
think they
Browns
made a
fans
mistake.
that really liked him, and
Yeah,
they gave up him, and
they
particularly
made a
because
mistake.
Watson's just so ridiculously bad. So, and they're
Yeah,
paying him. I mean, it's just.
yes, and I
He's
think
Baker was the team guy, all about high. Watson is he could care. I mean, his demeanor is oh well, they're paying me
yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
So
Well, I think he's out of the league in a couple of weeks.
in a couple
Watson.
years,
Oh, I'm sorry, a couple of years. Yeah,
yeah. Once
not.
I'd be surprised after that contract runs out that he.
Yeah. Well, he's got some more. He's got some more charges pending.
Oh
You know.
yeah,
Yeah.
and yes, and ironically, it came out that if there's something like that again, the Browns have a clause that they can make the move and they don't have to do it with guarantee. I'd like to
Uh,
wonder what law firm pays for that girl down that made that new claim. Brown and Brown and oh no,
uh-huh.
I could. I
Yeah.
wouldn't
Yeah.
be shocked if they were like, "Hey, we'll do it." I'm not kidding. I really think it would not be shocked if that was pushed because I didn't know that, but it was
No,
it was revealed this past Sunday by Jay Glazer. And he
yeah.
said people don't know this, but they can review it, and if there is something similar, they can null and void it, and they do not have to guarantee pay them.
Hmm. Hmm. No,
So
I believe it totally, and I think it's coming. I really do. You know,
whether
he's
she
gonna be.
really did it or not,
Yeah.
they may be like, "You did it, right? Oh yeah, he did it."
So
So,
he's gonna be sitting right next to Diddy in the in the slammer. So
yeah, and they're both. I mean, Watson's
uh,
bad. And Diddy is. Oh God, he's horrible. He is awful.
it's over for him.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the Vikes beating the 49ers?
Very impressive. I mean, Sam Darnold has kind of rebuilt, kind of like Baker's kind of got a shot again. Most people thought he wouldn't even start this year, but now with McCarthy hurt, he's starting, and that gives him. I don't know about McCarthy. I'm not sure how good a pro he'll be, but
Yeah,
we'll find out for a few years. But yeah, that was a good one. I was very. I mean, the Niners, they didn't get. That guy played as good as Christian McCaffrey the game before. He didn't play as good on the road. The role players, younger players like that, they don't usually play as good on the road.
true.
And he kind of went back to, oh, I'm just a normal guy, and because he played as good as Christian did in that first game, it was like they
Uh,
didn't miss anything.
no,
That's hard to do week in and week out, and
it is.
you
It
know,
is. Now,
so
when it comes to the next game that I'm going to talk to you about, that's another one of those surprises for me. The Raiders
oh yeah.
taking the Ravens out with Gardner Minshew as the quarterback, right?
Yeah, Uncle Rico going up there and
Uncle Rico.
over them mountains.
Uh-huh.
I mean, yeah, I mean, pretty good. 30 of 38 for
Yeah. What are
one
you going to
touchdown.
do?
That's pretty good. And
Yeah, 30-38.
Wave and Lamar was only 21 of 34, and not near as good. They didn't
Hmm.
really have much running.
Nope.
The Ravens had hit, but I mean, it must have been. Oh, just Raiders played pretty good. I just would have never thought they'd go on the road and beat Baltimore.
Nope. Nope. A
I mean,
lot of
that was
people
a
didn't.
game that was a shocker. That was the shocker of the. I think them 0-2 and is the number one shocker the first few weeks,
Yeah.
and then last week was by far the biggest shocker. I think
Yeah.
second was how bad Dallas lost, but not that they lost.
No. No. You're right. How bad they
Now the
lost.
Saints, I will have to say the Saints are a little shocker at how good they've played. I mean, you can't expect anybody, but they have been amazing. I mean, they have, I think, scored touchdowns on about 70% of their drives in the
Yes.
first
Yeah.
two games.
Yeah. Well,
And
their offense is crushing it, man. Their offense is
Yep,
really crushing it.
and the defense looks better because their coach is more of a defensive guy, and so he's finally kind of got that iron out. I think they always, once they got Carr, they settled in. I mean, there was kind of pre the season Carr. They were talking like, were they going to make a move or something? They weren't even
Uh-huh.
sure.
Uh-huh.
And so I guess he's pretty comfortable now because don't want to change it now. It's
Agreed.
amazing Carr how well has his brother got so much more hype than him out of college, and yet
Yes.
he's been a
Yes.
much
Agreed.
better, way better quarter. Now it wasn't as fair because he went to Houston and he was sacked like 10 times a game. So,
True.
um,
True.
but he'll always be remembered for beating Dallas in the very first game
Ah.
of their franchise. Yeah,
Yep.
that was a good, terrible thing.
Agreed.
They only
Agreed.
won
And
like
then we
three
can't.
games. That
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
That was one of like three wins they had all year for
True.
the Texans.
True. True. And we can't get out of here without talking about the Chiefs. What the heck happened there? They won, but what the heck happened there?
But the bigger thing is win because that's the one guy that Burrow had kind of has gotten Mahomes a few times better than
True.
most. So he was
Hmm.
probably just glad to get out of there and win.
Hmm.
Um, and the Bengals are 0-2. That's a pretty surprising. Who do they have this week? Let's see.
Yeah, they're 0-2. But when you come as close
They
to
have the
beating the Chiefs,
Commanders at home. I think that'll
yeah,
get them back in order. Um,
we'll see.
Speaking of the Commanders, Oklahoma kicker, I have to just give him a shout out because this is amazing. He's one of the best all around kickers in college history because all 4 years at OU, he was like the number one rated kicker out of high school, and he was the punter, the place kicker, and the kickoff guy all 4 years, and he averaged
Mhm.
over 80% touchbacks. He averaged over 80% field goals made, and he punted an average of over 45 yards, which is all really good. And of course, we have some years we have one guy does all. We need three guys to do one. He's doing one, and so Austin
Yeah.
Seibert went into the NFL, and he's kind of been bouncing around. Well, he signed, I guess. I don't know what. I guess not sure what the first week, but he signed Monday of last week after the first game, and he he
Yeah.
hit 7 out of
7
7.
field goal. Yeah,
to beat
7
the
out of 7.
Giants, all
Yep,
7, and including the walk off to win the game.
yep,
So
yep,
I
7 out
think
of 7.
he's probably secure for the rest of
I
the
think he's
year
got a
there.
job, yes, I think he's got
That
a job.
was a pretty amazing. Um, and the Giants, they said the Giants are really bad. Well, I don't understand
Yes,
how
they
they
are.
had 18 points, but they scored touchdowns. I don't. I mean, I didn't
Mhm.
ever look. How did they go for two a bunch of times or something? Or
Yeah, probably to get back into the game, they did. I didn't, pay too much attention to, that's the last game on the schedule that I'm
yeah, I
watching is
know, I
the
know.
Washington and the G-men, but, yeah, that's probably, what happened. Let me see here real quick.
Scoring summary. Yeah, they scored. They missed the PAT.
Yeah,
They scored again, then they missed the 2 points. Scored
yeah,
again, and then missed the 2 points.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah,
yeah, like I said, last game I'm watching for the
yeah,
for any type of good football,
and they
but then
got in
again,
the end zone. They scored 3 touchdowns. Washington didn't score any, and they lost.
true,
Sorry,
true. What'd you think of the Eagles and the Falcons? Falcons winning in that
such
one.
that is such a giant way to lose. I mean,
That's
by
a
the way,
giant
your
way.
Jets. I always curious when teams cities have two big ones. How do you decide who you cheer for when you is it who your family or just how do you decide who to? And
It's
why would
kind of where you're
anybody fear
born.
the Jets? I'm just kidding.
It's kind of where you're born.
The Jets are more where
Well, I'm from Brooklyn, so we're I'm a Jet Met fan. So
goes Brooklyn mostly Jets and Mets.
yeah, I'd say
And what's more Giants and
Queens. You
Yankees?
get up to Queens, and
It's more
that's
Giants and
Jets.
Yankees.
No, that's Jets country too. I think Jets
Okay.
and because the Mets actually play in Queens. Um, yeah, it's you just pick your poison. It's all right.
Yeah.
It's all
I'm
right.
just
My mom was a Jet and a Met
there. You
fan.
go.
I
There you
can
go.
remember 1969 with my mom made a homemade banner that she stuck out in front of the house. It's it said "World Champion Mets." So
Is that the one they like had to win all those games for the end of the year to make the
yep,
playoffs? Yeah.
the
Like
amazing Mets.
yeah, they were like terrible, and then they won like 25 or
Yep,
30 out of 35 games or something.
yep,
Because that's
yep,
back when I think only two teams made the playoffs.
yep.
Um,
Pretty much.
I mean, it was you could have a really good season, and you made all you do was make the AF the American League Championship or the National League,
Right.
and you could have really good teams that
Yep.
didn't. I mean,
And you did, and you
yeah,
did
it's
quite
really
often,
good teams that didn't make it.
and you
And now
did
we
quite
see
often.
with expansion, so many of those teams that don't win their division, some go on to win the World
Yeah,
Series.
yeah,
Like the Rangers. Yeah, because
yeah.
they blew their division right before the season ended,
Hmm.
and then were unbelievable in the playoffs. They never lost
Yep.
on the road.
Nope.
Yeah,
Awesome.
this year they will be at home though.
Yes, they will. What'd you think of the Eagles Falcons game?
Well, it was. I'm sure Falcons were happy
Yeah,
that he finally because he was lost that first game, and
cousin.
he really didn't play great till the last series. And
Right.
who made a good? It was oh yeah, it was. I listened a little bit to the Mannings, and they had Matt Ryan the fourth quarter, and so you have all these three quarterbacks talking, and they get into it, and they've all agreed that when you go to a new team, like because Ryan went for 1 or 2 years of Colts, and
Hmm.
Peyton went now. Of course, Eli didn't go anywhere but the Giants. He was just
Right.
really good or average. He was a very odd
Right.
quarterback. Let's be honest. He was
Yeah.
um, sometimes great, sometimes horrible.
Yeah.
But Ryan and Peyton agreed that early in the career, when you go to a new team, the 2 minute time is like when you feel the most comfortable because that's when they simplify the game, the
Everything.
offense,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
so they're all kind of on. He said, and many times knew when some of the best drives for quarterbacks when they've just gone to a new place are better. And we saw it. I mean, they went
Hmm.
right down the field and they had
Yeah.
hardly done anything most of the game,
Yeah.
which always made me wonder why can they do it in 2 minutes, but they can't do it? That's always strange.
And but the flip side of that is also true. If they can do it in 2 minutes, why don't they run all their offense in
Yeah,
like in two
yes,
minutes?
yes. I mean, I don't know. Those offensive coordinators, they all try to outsmart themselves when
Yeah.
sometimes the best is not doing it. And we're seeing it a little bit much. They're running it more now.
Yes, they are.
They're kind of let's don't try to be too much.
Hmm.
Um, let's don't put as much on the quarterback and receiver. Let's just run the ball and let's see if we can win some close, ugly games. And you've seen it some. You've seen some close, ugly wins. I mean,
Yes, you are.
and maybe that's how you compensate for some of that talent that some of these other teams have. And maybe that's one of the things
Mhm.
but just odd. They all kind of are doing that.
Yeah,
I think there's
yeah,
only been like 5 300-yard games in the first 2 weeks
yeah,
passing, which is really
yeah.
low.
Passing, yeah, it's very much down. Very much down. Field goals are up. Passing is down.
Yeah, field,
Mhm.
field goals are way up. I mean,
Yeah. Mhm.
the Giants 3 touchdowns, Washington all field goals, and they lose. The
All right,
Jets.
guy. I got
Go ahead.
a question for you. Looking ahead,
Yeah, new. That's this week. Here we
any
go.
games you're looking at right now?
Well, I gotta say your Jets are looking good, and I think with the Tua injury, I think the Jets are definitely that's going to make it even more likely they can make a run this year. Buffalo's
Yeah,
going to be tough, but um, the with the Patriots are I just don't think they're going to be that
no,
good.
that's got
And
nothing.
and then Miami without Tua, they're not. So I think the Jets and
Yeah,
Bills will kind of roll and see who can win that, and the other was a very good shot of being a wild card.
yeah.
Um,
Could be playoff bound
Cowboys Ravens kind of a must win for
for
both.
both.
Really for the Ravens. I mean,
Yeah,
and I think Cowboys to bounce back and beat the Ravens would be just because they look so terrible against the Saints. If they could bounce
hmm
back, that kind of. But I don't know. I kind of like the Ravens in that game.
I do. That's who I picked in that game was the Ravens. But the Cowboys are at home. Maybe they've got a little magic in them. I don't know, but I don't expect it. I really do expect the Ravens to put it on after how bad that defense looked. You know how bad that defense,
I
Cowboy
just,
defense looked.
I mean, against the run, and now you've got a runner like you got Henry and you've got um,
You got Lamar
Jackson,
Jackson.
yeah, and then and then if they if they have to play on that, you've got Andrews and you've got I don't know. It
Yeah.
really they'll have to really fix some stuff in a week for me to. They
Yep.
were a lot of that was just a lot of basic, fundamental, terrible play.
Yes.
Um,
Yes. I was listening to Booger McFarland,
yeah,
and he was saying the question was did the Cowboys just play soft or are they soft? And he says
right.
they're very soft. He says they're very soft.
Yeah, that's just
Their defense
because
isn't
they
as
kind
good.
of the last few years they've been really big at turnovers and stuff, but
Yeah.
when they weren't getting turnovers, teams did move the ball on them.
Yes, they
Now they
did.
were really good at forcing turnovers, and unfortunately, they never have their two corners ever play at the same time. And I've seen Diggs; he's got burned some this year. He
Yeah.
has not really, and and Bland's not out there, and because they never can play together, they all get hurt. And
True.
by the time Bland's back, it may not matter.
Uh,
Um,
uh-huh.
but we'll see. I hope they do, but I kind of like I don't know. They'd have to really make some changes. And there's some surprising undefeateds who like the Chargers and Steelers, Texans and Vikings. I don't
Yep.
think anybody thought those would be four undefeated. And they play each other. Um,
True.
I like
Although I do like the
I like the
Texans. I think the
I like the
Texans will be,
Texans.
mhm. Mhm.
I like the Texans, and I think the Chargers will do enough. The Steelers, the weather's not too bad for the Chargers yet, and the Steelers on offense still are not very good.
Yeah,
um,
no.
and I think the Chargers have enough offense, and I like the Texans probably to go win. But the Vikings, I wouldn't be surprised. That's a tough place. Who do you like in those
To
two
play.
games?
Yeah. I'm liking the Texans in that one, and I'm liking the Chargers also. I'm with you. I think the Steelers are a little bit of a mirage. I think
Yeah, yeah,
that they've got some problems, and I think by the end of the year we'll know all about their problems. But they're off to a 2-0 start. I
yeah.
got to take my hat to them. Take my hat off to
Tomlin,
them.
he just finds ways. I
Yeah, he
don't
does.
know how he does half the
He
time, but
does.
he does.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, because now it's Fields, right? And
Yeah.
because Russell's hurt and he's probably not the better quarterback anyway.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but Fields is he's nothing great, but he finds he can do a little. Now
hmm
the Eagles have a big game at the Saints. That's gonna
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting. Very interesting.
you're like you said, Cowboys are sucking, but there's a good chance the Eagles might be 1-2, and then
And yeah,
Washington and the Giants
yeah.
they're not much.
Well, the question is, can Washington get past Cincy this week?
I
because
don't think so.
if we're counting, because I was going to say, if we're counting um, this week's game, I think the Cowboys have a good chance of losing. I think the Eagles have a good chance of losing. And if the Commanders can get past the Bengals,
Which I don't
they'll
think they
be
will,
leading
though.
the division.
I think now the the Giants and the Browns, that'll be a lot of incompletions. Um,
Yes.
I guess the Browns will. It's at Cleveland. They'd probably. I don't know. They're not very good.
No.
But the Giants would be 0-3, and Washington would be 1-2. Yeah, all four. I think all four will probably lose, and so Dallas will still be tied for first at 1-2.
Mhm. Yeah, 1-2. Yeah.
Now
Kind
here's
of
a
crazy.
fun one: Lions at Cardinals. The Cardinals played Buffalo really well. They were almost one up there. I mean, they don't ever go play up there very often, and they
No.
really almost outplayed the Bills. And then they
Uh-huh.
had a good win last week, and Kyler seems to kind of has started off pretty good, and so that's a fun game against that Detroit team to see how they do against the video game Kyler Murray,
Uh-huh.
who at times Kyler he's kind of incredible. He made some really great plays in the last few games, and
Yeah.
that's a fun game. That's one of the more fun, interesting because the Lions
Yeah.
are, that's going to be an interesting game.
Yeah. Jared Goff is on the other side of that. And I think he's having a good year. He's having a decent year. He's throwing the ball a lot too.
Yep.
So, we'll see what happens in that one. But I'm really kind of digging that game. I do think the Lions will take it, but I think that's a game. If you're a fan of if you're a fan of the sport, I think that's the game to watch.
Yeah, I mean, Goff threw for 300 yards last week and
Yeah.
lost.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
That's not really. Kyler's been so that you got two good quarterbacks that are both are solid, but neither have probably lived up to what people thought they'd be. But they're both.
Right.
But who knows? They still got several years, and they're all both healthy. Which Kyler being healthy is the biggest thing, and he's pretty dangerous when he's healthy.
True.
And he
True.
finally threw it to Marvin Harrison. There was some talk. Why you didn't throw it to Marvin? He's like, well, I throw it to who's open.
Yeah.
And he did, and they almost beat the Bills. I mean,
Yeah.
but he did get it to Harrison some this past week, and I'm
They
sure
did.
that was good. Yeah,
I'm
so
pulling
he's
for the
got some
Bills.
weapons.
So.
He got some weapons.
Yeah. So, well, anything else for this week? Any shout outs you want to make? Anything special you want to say about anything?
I will just do. I don't remember if I did this on the call. I got to go back to my Sooners. Let's go beat the Vols. That's all I got to say. Time to first SEC game. Let's go prove it.
Well, I'm with you. I'm hoping my Cougs can handle Cincy in Cincy. But I do have a little bit of a shout out. I want to shout out to my Jets who are leading right now in the third quarter. So as we tape this thing on a Thursday. Hope everybody is doing well. Hope we have a good weekend of football. It looks like we've got some good games in the NFL this week. I know you're pulling for your Cowboys, and my Jets look like they're on the road to victory here as well.
That's good. That's good.
Next week, we'll maybe take a look at the power rankings because I think after last week, they changed a little bit. But from now on, NFL, NFL, NFL. Let's go.
Yep. Let's go, Cowboys. Well, they need to show up, and we'll see what happens.
Yep. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Maybe they'll earn the background next week. We'll see.
All right. They have to earn it.
Yeah. Peace.